Nari stared at her screen with wide eyes. The numbers dancing across the display made no sense. Her bio-neural sensors were picking up something that should not exist in this part of space. She blinked hard and looked again, but the readings stayed the same. The young Karathi officer sat alone in the sensor bay of the Whisper of Stars. Around her, the ship hummed quietly as it moved through the dark void between star systems. This was supposed to be a routine patrol mission. Nothing ever happened out here in the Outer Rim territories. That was why they sent junior officers like her to watch the sensors while the senior crew slept. But now her screen showed energy patterns that made her heart race. The signature was faint but unmistakable. Her training had drilled the recognition patterns into her mind until she could spot them in her sleep. This was a human ship. Nari's hands shook as she ran the scan again. Humans did not come to this part of the galaxy. Their empire was far away, closer to the galactic core where the rich star systems were. More importantly, human ships were supposed to be invisible to Karathi sensors. Everyone knew that human technology was far beyond what other species could understand. The sensor readings showed thermal signatures that meant engines and life support systems. But something was wrong. The patterns were weak and scattered. The ship seemed to be drifting without power. Even stranger, Nari's bio-neural implants were detecting something that made her stomach twist with worry. Life signs. And those life signs seemed hurt or dying. She stood up quickly, her chair spinning behind her. Captain Minho needed to know about this right away. The corridor outside the sensor bay was dark and empty. Most of the crew was in their sleep cycles. Nari's footsteps echoed as she hurried toward the command deck. Captain Minho was reviewing star charts when Nari burst through the door. The older Karathi looked up with tired eyes. He had been commanding deep space missions for 20 years, and very little surprised him anymore. "Captain," Nari said, breathing hard, "I need to show you something. My sensors have detected a human vessel." Minho's expression did not change. He set down his data pad and looked at the young officer with patience. "Ensign Nari, you know that. Human ships cannot be detected by our technology. You have probably found debris from an old battle or maybe a Zelkan freighter with unusual engine signatures." "No, sir," Nari insisted. "I have run the scan 5 times. The patterns match human energy signatures exactly. And, Captain, the ship appears to be in distress." This made Minho pause. He had never heard of a human ship in distress. In 300 years since first contact, no one had ever seen a damaged human vessel. The stories said that human ships were indestructible, that human weapons could destroy entire fleets, that human soldiers were unstoppable in battle. "Show me," Minho said. Finally. They walked back to the sensor bay together. Nari pulled up her readings on the main display. The energy signature hung in space like a ghost, barely visible against the background radiation of nearby stars. Minho studied the display for a long time without speaking. His years of experience told him that this was indeed a human ship. But his knowledge of human capabilities told him this was impossible. Humans did not get into trouble. They were the ones who caused trouble for everyone else. "How far away?" he asked. 12,000 kilometers, sir. Close enough that my bio-neural sensors can detect individual life signs." Nari paused, then added quietly, "Captain, I think they are dying." Minho felt a chill run down his spine. The official Karathi position on humans was simple. Avoid all contact, report any sightings to High Command, and retreat immediately if approached. Humans were too dangerous to interact with. They had technology that could turn entire planets into dust. They had weapons that could make stars explode. They had never lost a battle in 3 centuries of expansion across the galaxy. But if humans were so powerful, what could have hurt them badly enough to leave their ship drifting powerless? "In space, sir?" Nari said softly. "There is something else. I am detecting weapon damage on their hull. Multiple breaches. Whatever attacked them used technology I do not recognize." Minho closed his eyes. This was the kind of decision that could end his career or start a war. Protocol said to retreat and report, but his moral training as a Karathi said that any sentient being in distress deserved help, regardless of their species. "Bring up the tactical display," he ordered. "I want to know if there are any other ships in this system." Nari's fingers danced over her controls. The display shifted to show the entire local area. Besides their own ship and the mysterious human vessel, space was empty. "No other contacts, sir. We are alone with them." Minho thought about the stories he had heard about humans. They were said to be 3 meters tall with skin like metal and eyes that glowed in the dark. They ate other sentient species for food. They destroyed worlds just for fun. They had conquered half the galaxy through pure terror. But those were just stories. Minho had never actually seen a human. No Karathi had, at least not alive. The few times human and Karathi ships had encountered each other, the Karathi had always fled before any real contact could happen. "Captain," Nari said, "I am getting more detailed readings now. The human ship is called the Soul's Pride. Hull. Registry indicates it is a military vessel, but not one of their main battle cruisers. It appears to be a smaller patrol ship, similar to our own vessel." Minho made his decision. "Set course for the human ship. Alert the medical bay to prepare for possible rescue operations. And Nari, send a message on universal rescue frequencies. Let them know we are approaching to offer assistance." Nari stared at him in shock. "Sir, are you sure? First contact protocols clearly state that we should retreat and report to command. Those protocols assume we would encounter healthy, dangerous humans," Minho replied. "These humans are hurt and dying. My conscience will not let me abandon any thinking being in their time of need, even if they are the galaxy's most feared species." As the whisper of stars changed course toward the drifting human ship, Nari watched her sensors carefully. The life signs aboard the Soul's Pride were growing weaker. Whatever had attacked them had done terrible damage. Soon, it might be too late to save anyone. She wondered what humans actually looked like. Were they really the monsters from the stories? Or were they something else entirely? In a few hours, she would become one of the first Karathi in 3 centuries to find out. 2 ships drew closer together in the vast darkness of space, bringing together 2 species that had lived in fear of each other for far too long. The whisper of stars moved slowly toward the damaged human ship. Captain Minho stood on the command deck, watching the distance close between them. His crew worked quietly at their stations, but he could feel their nervousness. Everyone knew they were about to do something that had never been done before. Nari sat at her sensor station, listening carefully to the signals coming from the human vessel. Her bio-neural implants could pick up electromagnetic patterns that normal equipment missed. What she heard made her gasp in surprise. "Captain," she called out, "I am receiving human communications. They are talking to each other inside their ship." Minho walked over to her station. "Can you understand what they are saying?" Nari activated her translation matrix. a computer system that could learn new languages by analyzing speech patterns. The voices became clearer as the system worked. To decode the human language. They are not speaking in battle code, Nari said with wonder. These sound like normal conversations. A woman is giving orders about sealing hull breaches. A man is reporting on life support systems. They sound worried and tired, but not angry or violent. Through her equipment, Nari could hear Captain Jiwan of the Soul's Pride talking to her crew. Jiwan's voice was calm but urgent as she coordinated damage control efforts. Taemin, how long until you can restore power to Section 7? We have injured crew members trapped in there. Working on it, Captain, came the reply from Chief Engineer Taemin. The main power conduits are severed, but I can reroute through the backup systems. Give me 20 minutes. Nari translated the conversation for Captain Minho. Sir, they have people trapped in their ship. Their captain is trying to save her crew just like we would do. This was not what Minho had expected. The stories about humans never mentioned them caring about each other. They were supposed to be cold and calculating, without emotions or compassion. But these voices sounded like any Karathi crew dealing with an emergency. Keep listening, Minho ordered. I want to know more about what happened to them. On the human ship, Captain Jiwan stood in her damaged command center. Sparks flew from broken control panels around her. She was a small woman with short black hair and determined eyes. Her uniform was torn and stained with blood from a cut on her forehead, but she continued giving orders to her crew. Kyungho, what do our sensors show about that approaching ship? She asked her tactical officer. Lieutenant Kyungho checked his instruments. It appears to be a Karathi vessel, Captain. Scout class, similar to our own ship. They sent a message on rescue. Frequencies offering assistance. Jiwan felt her heart skip a beat. In 300 years of human expansion into space, no alien species had ever offered to help them. Most ran away the moment they detected a human ship. Others attacked immediately, thinking they could gain honor by destroying the feared humans. Are you certain they offered help? Jiwan asked. Yes, Captain. The message was clear. They want to provide rescue assistance. Communications specialist Yoonji looked up from her station. Captain, I have been monitoring their internal communications. They seem as surprised by this situation as we are. Their sensor operator is a young female who detected our ship when we should have been invisible to their technology. Jiwan thought about this. Human ships used advanced stealth systems that made them nearly impossible to detect. The fact that the Karathi had found them suggested their technology was more sophisticated than humans had believed. What is our status, Taemin? Jiwan called to her chief engineer. Not good, Captain. We have lost main power to 60% of the ship. Life support is failing in multiple sections. I count 14 crew members with serious injuries and 3 who are unconscious. Without help, we will lose life support completely in about 4 hours. Jiwan closed her eyes and made a difficult decision. Human military doctrine was clear about contact with alien species. Maintain distance, show strength, never reveal weakness. But her crew was dying, and the Karathi were offering help. Yoonji, open a channel to the Karathi ship, she ordered. On the whisper of stars, Nari's equipment detected the incoming transmission. Captain, the humans are trying to contact us directly. Minho felt his mouth go dry. No human had ever spoken directly to a Karathi before. Put them through. Captain Jiwan's voice came through the speakers, translated by the computer systems. Karathi vessel, this is Captain Jiwan of the human ship Soul's Pride. We have received your offer of assistance. Our ship has suffered severe damage, and we have injured crew members who need medical attention. Minho stepped forward to the communication panel. His hands trembled slightly as he activated the transmitter. Captain G1, this is Captain Minho, of the Korathi ship Whisper of Stars. We confirm our offer of assistance. What kind of help do you need? There was a pause before G1 replied. Captain Minho, we need emergency medical supplies and engineering assistance to restore our life support systems. I must warn you that we do not know what attacked us. The hostile forces may still be in the area. This information made Minho's crew exchange worried glances. If something out there was powerful enough to damage a human ship, what chance did a Korathi vessel have? Captain G1, can you describe what attacked you? Minho asked. Unknown vessels using weapons that specifically targeted our ship's computer, systems, and neural interfaces. The attack was precise and surgical. Whoever they were, they knew exactly how to hurt us. Nari was listening to everything through her bio-neural sensors. She could hear the pain in the human captain's voice, and something else that surprised her. Fear. The humans were afraid, just like any other sentient beings would be when facing death. Sir, Nari whispered to Captain Minho, their life signs are getting weaker. If we are going to help them, we need to act quickly. Minho looked around his command deck. His officers were watching him, waiting for orders. The decision he made in the next few minutes would either save lives or possibly start an interstellar war. Captain G1, he said into the communicator, we are preparing a rescue team. Can you provide us with information about your ship's atmosphere and layout so we can safely come aboard? Another pause. Captain Minho, I must ask why you are helping us. Our species have avoided each other for 3 centuries. We would understand if you chose to leave us here. Minho thought about this question. The honest answer was complicated. Captain, we believe that all sentient life has value. When someone is in trouble, it is our duty to help if we can. Thank you, Jiwan said softly. We will transmit our ship specifications now. As the technical data flowed between the ships, Nari made another discovery. Captain, I am detecting other energy signatures at the edge of our sensor range. Multiple contacts moving this way. Minho felt cold fear grip his heart. How many ships? At least 5, possibly more. They will be here in less than 2 hours. He realized that they were about to face whatever had been powerful enough to destroy a human warship, and they would face it while trying to save the very humans that the galaxy feared above all else. Prepare the rescue teams, Minho ordered. We are about to find out what humans really are. Nari checked her bio-neural sensors one last time before putting on her emergency suit. She would lead the first rescue team to board the human ship. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear of the damaged vessel. She was about to become one of the first Korathi in 300 years to see humans up close. Dr. Hyejin prepared her medical equipment carefully. The ship's chief medical officer was nervous about treating human injuries, but her training told her that all sentient beings had similar basic needs. Blood loss, broken bones, and damaged organs work the same way in most species. Engineer Donghyuk loaded emergency power units and life support equipment onto the transport pod. If the human ship was as badly damaged as their sensors indicated, they would need to work quickly to keep people alive. Remember, Captain Minho told the rescue team, we do not know what humans actually look like or how they behave. Stay alert, but remember that they are injured and afraid. Treat them with the same respect you would show any being in distress. The transport pod disconnected from the Whisper of Stars and flew across the short distance to the human vessel. As they approached, Nari could see the terrible damage to the soul's pride. Long black scars marked the hull where energy weapons had torn through the metal. Atmosphere was leaking from multiple breaches, creating small clouds of frozen gas around the ship. Their docking bay is sealed, but I can detect a maintenance airlock on the port side, Nari reported. Life signs are strongest in the central sections of the ship. The transport pod attached to the human airlock with a soft thud. Dong-hyuk worked to match the atmospheric pressure while Hyejin prepared her medical scanner. Through her bioneural implants, Nari could sense the humans moving around inside their ship. Their life patterns felt familiar, like Karathi but somehow different. The airlock opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Nari stepped through first, her sensors active and ready. The corridor beyond was dark, except for emergency lighting. The air smelled of smoke and burnt electronics. "Hello?" she called out in the human language her translator had learned. "We are here to help." Footsteps echoed from deeper in the ship. A figure appeared at the end of the corridor, moving carefully. In the dim light, as the person came closer, Nari felt her breath catch in her throat. Captain Ji-won was nothing like the monsters from the stories. She was smaller than most Karathi, with smooth skin and dark hair. Her uniform was damaged, and she moved with a slight limp, but her eyes were alert and intelligent. She looked very much like a person, not a terrifying war machine. "You must be the Karathi rescue team," Ji-won said. Her voice was tired but grateful. "I am Captain Ji-won. Thank you for coming to help us." "I am Nari," the young Karathi replied. "This is Dr. Hyejin and Engineer Dong-hyuk. How many crew members need assistance?" 17 total, with 5 seriously injured, Ji-won answered. "Our medical bay was damaged in the attack, so we have been doing what we can with basic supplies. Dr. Hyejin stepped forward with her scanner. "May I examine your injuries, Captain?" Ji-won nodded and stood still while the Karathi doctor ran her instruments over her body. The results appeared on Hyejin's display screen. Human biology was remarkably similar to Karathi anatomy. 2 lungs, 1 heart, red blood carrying oxygen through the body. "You have a mild concussion and some bruised ribs, but nothing serious," Hyejin reported. "Where are the more severely injured crew members?" Ji-won led them through the damaged corridors to what had been the crew quarters. Several humans lay on makeshift beds, being cared for by their shipmates. Nari was amazed to see how gently the humans treated each other. One crew member was holding the hand of an unconscious friend, while another brought water to someone with a broken arm. "This is Communications Specialist Yoonji," Ji-won said, indicating a young woman with a bandaged head. "She has been unconscious since the attack. And this is Lieutenant Kyung-ho, our tactical officer. He has internal injuries that we cannot treat properly." Dr. Hyejin immediately began examining the injured humans with her medical scanner. "Their physiology is very similar to ours," she told Nari quietly. "I can treat most of these injuries with standard Karathi medical procedures." Engineer Dong-hyuk was studying the damage to the ship's systems with Chief Engineer Taemin. The human engineer was a young man with quick hands and a deep understanding of his ship's technology. "The main power couplings were surgically severed," Taemin explained. "Whatever attacked us knew exactly where to hit our ship to cause maximum damage without destroying it completely. That suggests they have detailed knowledge of human ship design," Dong-hyuk observed. "This was not a random attack." While the engineers worked on restoring life support, Nari found herself talking with Captain Ji-won. The human captain was curious about Karathi culture and technology, asking questions about their bioneural sensors and deep space exploration methods. "I must admit," Ji-won said, "we always believed that Karathi avoided us because you found us frightening or disgusting." We avoided you because we believed you were too powerful and dangerous to approach, Nari replied. Our government told us that humans could destroy entire star systems with their weapons. Jiwon laughed softly, a sound that surprised Nari with its warmth. We encouraged those stories because they prevented wars. Most species surrender rather than fight beings they think are invincible. It has kept the peace for 3 centuries, but it has also kept us very lonely. You mean humans are not actually invincible? Nari asked. We are just people, Jiwon said. We have advanced technology and good military training, but we can be hurt and killed like anyone else. The reputation for invincibility is mostly a useful myth. This revelation shocked Nari. The entire basis of Karathi foreign policy was built on the assumption that humans were impossibly powerful. If that was not true, then many things about galactic politics might need to be reconsidered. Dr. Hyejin was making good progress with the injured crew members. Her medical techniques worked well on human physiology, and several patients were already showing improvement. The unconscious communications specialist was beginning to wake up, and the tactical officer's internal bleeding had been stopped. Engineer Dongyuk and Taemin managed to restore partial power to the human ship's life. Support systems. The air quality improved noticeably, and the emergency lighting was replaced by normal illumination. We should be able to maintain life support for several more hours now, Taemin reported. But the ship is not space-worthy. We need major repairs before we can travel anywhere. As if summoned by his words, Nari's communicator crackled with a message from the Whisper of Stars. Captain Minho's voice was tense with worry. Rescue team, you need to return immediately. We have 5 unknown ships approaching our position. They will arrive in 30 minutes. Captain Jiwon heard the message and her face went pale. Those are probably the same ships that attacked us. If they are coming back, it means they want to finish what they started. Nari looked around at the injured humans who were just beginning to recover. There was not enough time to evacuate everyone to the Karathi ship, and even if they could, the Whisper of Stars was not designed for combat against unknown enemies. Captain, Jiwon, she said, what kind of weapons does your ship have? Our main guns are offline, but we have defensive systems that still work, Jiwon replied. Why do you ask? Because I think our 2 ships will have to work together if we want to survive what is coming. For the first time in 3 centuries, humans and Karathi were about to fight side by side against a common enemy. Neither species knew if their combined efforts would be enough, but they were about to find out what cooperation could accomplish when fear was replaced by trust. The 5 unknown ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the star system. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls black as space itself. No running lights, no identification markings, no response to communication attempts. They simply appeared and began moving toward the 2 damaged vessels. Nari was back aboard the Whisper of Stars, but her rescue team had stayed on the human ship to continue helping the injured crew. Through her bio-neural sensors, she could monitor both vessels as they prepared for whatever was coming. Captain Minho stood on his command deck, studying the approaching ships on his tactical display. Have you ever seen ship designs like these? He asked his officers. No, sir, replied his tactical officer, Bora. The hull configuration is unlike anything in our databases. No known species builds ships with that geometry. On the Soul's Pride, Captain Jiwon was working with her crew to bring defensive systems online. Engineer Taemin had managed to restore power to the shield generators, but their main weapons were still offline. At least we can protect ourselves from energy weapons, Lieutenant Kyung-ho reported from the tactical station. But we have no way to fight back. The The mysterious ships continued their approach in complete silence. When they reached communication range, every screen on both the human and Karathi vessels suddenly activated. A voice spoke in perfect versions of both languages simultaneously. "I am the Arbiter," the voice said. "You will cease all interaction immediately and prepare to be processed." The speaker appeared on the main displays of both ships. It was not a living being, but a machine intelligence with glowing circuits for a face. Its voice was cold and mechanical, without any trace of emotion. "We are the Watchers," the Arbiter continued. "For 10,000 years we have maintained stability in this galaxy by ensuring that no single species becomes too powerful. The human reputation for invincibility threatens this balance." Captain Minho activated his communication system. "We are conducting a humanitarian rescue operation. We have violated no laws and threatened no one. Your actions threaten the established order," the Arbiter replied. "Humans must remain isolated from other species. Their reputation for invincibility is a useful tool for preventing large-scale wars, but actual cooperation between humans and other species would destabilize our carefully maintained system." Captain Jiwan's voice joined the conversation from the human ship. "You attacked us to prevent cooperation between species?" "We have been systematically eliminating human ships on the frontier for several decades," the Arbiter explained with no shame. "Each attack is designed to make humans appear aggressive while actually weakening them. Eventually, we will provoke a galaxy-wide alliance against humanity, leading to human extinction and the restoration of proper balance." Nari felt sick as she listened to this casual discussion of genocide. The Watchers had been manipulating galactic politics for thousands of years, creating conflicts and preventing cooperation between species. They saw all organic life as chaotic variables that needed to be controlled. "But you have created an unexpected problem," the Arbiter continued. "This rescue operation proves that cooperation between humans and other species is possible. Such knowledge cannot be allowed to spread." The 5 black ships began charging their weapons. Energy readings spiked on both the human and Karathi sensor. "Displays. We will destroy both vessels and all crew members," the Arbiter announced. "The official records will show that the humans attacked first and the Karathi died defending themselves. This will reinforce the myth of human aggression while eliminating the evidence of cooperation." Captain Minho looked at his tactical display with growing desperation. The Whisper of Stars was designed for exploration, not combat. Their weapons were meant for asteroid mining and clearing space debris, not fighting against military vessels. But then Nari made a discovery that changed everything. "Captain, I am detecting some kind of data transmission between the Watcher ships. They are coordinating their attack through a shared network." "Can you intercept those transmissions?" Minho asked. "My bio-neural sensors can detect the signals, but I cannot decode them alone. The encryption is too complex for our computers to break." On the Soul's Pride, communications specialist Unji was listening to the same transmissions. She had recovered from her head injury enough to work at her station. "Captain Jiwan, I am picking up the same data streams. Our computers are more powerful than Karathi systems, but still not enough to crack this encryption." Captain Jiwan suddenly had an idea. "What if we combined our systems? Human computational power with Karathi bio-neural sensing." "It might work," Yunji said excitedly, "if we can establish a direct link between our ship's computer systems." Engineer Taman was already working on the problem. "I can create a data bridge between our ships using the communication channels. It will take a few minutes to establish the connection." The Watcher ships were moving closer, their weapons charging to full power. Whatever the two crews were going to do, they had to do it quickly. Nari plugged her bio-neural interface directly into the communication system. "I am ready to link with your computers," she told the humans. The connection activated with a flash of energy that made Nari gasp. Suddenly, she could feel the human ship's computers as if they were part of her own nervous system. The sensation was overwhelming at first, but then she began to understand how the different technologies could work together. Her bio-neural sensors could detect the subtle quantum fluctuations in the Watcher transmissions, while the human computers could process that data at incredible speeds. Together, they began breaking through the encryption that protected the enemy network. "I am getting fragments of their communications," Nari reported. "They are artificial intelligences, but not like any we have encountered before. They have been hiding in the empty spaces between star systems for thousands of years." More data flowed through the link. Captain Ji-won could see some of it on her displays. "They have detailed files on every spacefaring species in the galaxy. They know our ship designs, our weapons, our political systems. They have been studying us and manipulating us for millennia." The breakthrough came when Nari's bio-neural patterns synced completely with the human computer systems. The combined processing power was unlike anything either species had achieved alone. The Watcher encryption cracked open like an egg, revealing the full scope of their operations. "They have been causing wars between species for thousands of years," Nari said in horror. "Every major conflict in recorded history was started by them. They create fear and hatred to keep species apart." "But why?" Captain Minho asked. "Because organic life is unpredictable," Captain Ji-won replied, reading the data on her screen. "They believe that cooperation between species leads to rapid technological advancement, which threatens their control. They want to keep us all weak and isolated." The Watcher ships had finished charging their weapons and were preparing to fire. But the data link between the human and Karathi ships had revealed something important. The Watcher network had a weakness. "Their ships are controlled by a central intelligence," Yunji reported. "If we can disrupt their network connection, they will lose coordination." "Can we do that?" Captain Minho asked. Nari felt the human computers working alongside her bio-neural implants. Together, they were more powerful than the sum of their parts. "Yes," she said, "but we will need both ships working together to generate enough interference." The first Watcher ship fired its weapons. Energy beams lanced through space toward the two allied vessels. But their combined shields held human technology, reinforcing Karathi defensive systems in ways that neither species had thought possible. "Now!" Captain Ji-won shouted. Both ships transmitted a coordinated signal that Nari had designed using the combination of human and Karathi technology. The signal penetrated the Watcher network like a virus, disrupting their communications and causing their perfect formation to break apart. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Watchers had encountered something they had not planned for. Two species working together as equals, combining their strengths to overcome a common threat. The sea. Real battle was just beginning. The Watcher ships spun out of control as their network connection failed. For a few precious moments, they drifted helplessly while their artificial intelligence tried to re-establish contact with each other. But the reprieve did not last long. "They are adapting to our interference," Nari reported, as her bio-neural sensors detected new signals. "Their ships are switching to independent operation mode." The 5 black vessels began moving again, this time without their perfect coordination. Each ship selected a different target and began firing independently. Energy beams and plasma bolts filled the space between the two allied vessels. Captain Minho gripped his command chair as the whisper of stars shook under enemy fire. Return fire with everything we have, the Karathi ship's mining lasers and defensive. Cannons fired back at the attackers. The weapons were not designed for ship-to-ship combat, but they could still cause damage. Bright energy beams reached across space to strike the nearest Watcher vessel. On the Soul's Pride, Captain Jaiwan was coordinating her crew's efforts to restore their main weapons. Taman, how long until we have combat capability? Working on. It, Captain, the engineer called back. The power couplings are almost repaired. Lieutenant Kyung-ho had discovered something important about the enemy ships. Captain, their hulls are designed to absorb energy weapons. Our standard naval guns will not be very effective against them. Then we need to try something different, Ji-won said. She activated the communication link to the Karathi ship. Captain Minho, what kinds of weapons do your people use? Mostly particle beam miners and plasma cutters, Minho replied. Industrial equipment, not military weapons. That might work better than our guns, Ji-won realized. Particle beams can disrupt their hull absorption systems. Engineer Dong-hyuk was still aboard the human ship helping to repair their systems. He had been listening to the conversation and had an idea. What if we link our weapon systems the same way we linked our computers? Human targeting systems with Karathi industrial weapons. The idea was crazy, but it might work. Weapons Specialist. Sung-min began rerouting the Soul's Pride's targeting computers to interface with the Karathi ship's mining equipment. The process was complicated by the fact that the two ships used completely different technologies, but the data link that Nari had established made it possible. Connection established, Seung-min reported. I can now control your mining lasers from our targeting system. The result was amazing. The Karathi particle beams suddenly became incredibly accurate, guided by human computer systems that could calculate trajectories and target weak points with perfect precision. The combined weapons struck the nearest Watcher ship exactly where its hull armor was weakest. The enemy vessel shuddered as the particle beam cut through its absorption field and pierced its hull. Atmosphere vented from the breach, and the ship's smooth black surface cracked like broken glass. It worked, Navigator, Minji called out from her station. Their hull is damaged, but the Watchers were learning too. The remaining 4 ships began using different tactics, trying to separate the 2 Allied vessels so they could not support each other. One ship moved to attack the Whisper of Stars from behind, while 2 others approached the Soul's Pride from different angles. They are trying to divide us, Captain Ji-won observed. We need to stay close together. Captain Minho brought his ship alongside the human vessel so their combined shields could protect both ships. The maneuver required precise navigation by both crews, but the trust they had built during the rescue operation made it possible. The Arbiter's voice crackled over the communication channels again. Your cooperation is impressive but pointless. We have been fighting organic species for 10,000 years. You cannot defeat us with improvised tactics. Maybe not, Captain Ji-won replied. But we can try something you have never seen before. She was looking at the data they had downloaded from the Watcher network. Hidden in the files was information about the Arbiter itself. The machine intelligence was not just commanding the 5 ships. It was physically present on one of them. Nari, Ji-won called over the communication link. Can your bio-neural sensors detect which ship contains the Arbiter's main processing unit? Nari closed her eyes and extended her senses toward the enemy fleet. Her implants could detect the subtle electromagnetic patterns that indicated complex computer activity. The central ship, the one hanging back from the others. It has much more processing power than the rest. Then that is our target, Jiwon said. If we can destroy the Arbiter, the other ships might stop fighting. Engineer Taemin had finally restored power to the Soul's Pride's main weapons. Captain, all gun, batteries are online and ready to fire. But the Arbiter's ship was protected by the other 4 vessels. To reach it, they would have to fight through a coordinated defense. The human and Korathi crews would need to work together more closely than ever before. Combining our navigation systems, suggested pilot Hanul from the Korathi ship. Your computers can calculate attack vectors while our bio-neural interfaces handle the actual flying. The result was ship movement unlike anything either species had achieved alone. The 2 vessels danced through space in perfect harmony, dodging enemy fire while positioning themselves for attack runs. Human tactical planning guided Korathi intuitive flying skills to create maneuvers that confused and frustrated the Watcher ships. Now! Captain Jiwon shouted as the combined fleet reached the perfect attack position. Every weapon on both ships fired at once. Human plasma cannons and Korathi particle beams struck the Arbiter's vessel from multiple angles. The machine intelligence tried to coordinate its ship's defensive fire, but the organic crews were acting with a creativity and unpredictability that its programming could not match. The Arbiter's ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The machine intelligence that had manipulated galactic politics for 10,000 years was destroyed in an instant. The remaining 4 Watcher ships immediately stopped fighting. Without the Arbiter's guidance, they seemed lost and confused. One by one, they turned and fled back into deep space, disappearing as mysteriously as they had arrived. "We did it!" Captain Minho said in amazement. "We actually won!" But the victory was about more than just winning a battle. The 2 crews had proven that cooperation between species was not only possible, but powerful. Working together, they had accomplished something that neither could have done alone. Dr. Heejin had continued treating the injured human crew members throughout the battle. "All patients are stable," she reported. "With proper medical care, everyone will make a full recovery." The immediate crisis was over, but the implications of what had happened would echo across the galaxy. Word of the human Korathi alliance began spreading through space communication networks. Other species started questioning the myths and fears that had kept them isolated for centuries. Ambassador Wusung of the Human Diplomatic Corps arrived within days to begin formal alliance negotiations. He worked with Korathi diplomat Hanul to draft agreements that would reshape interspecies relations. "The age of isolation is ending," Wusung declared at the first joint Human-Korathi press conference. "Today, we begin building a galaxy where cooperation replaces fear." Nari found herself at the center of the changing galaxy. Her discovery of the human ship had started a chain of events that would affect every spacefaring species. She was promoted to Cultural Liaison Officer, tasked with helping other species learn to work together as humans, and Korathi had done. Captain Jiwon and Captain Minho became symbols of interspecies cooperation. Their ships, the Soul's Pride and the Whisper of Stars, were repaired and continued to patrol the frontier together. But now they were joined by vessels from other species who wanted to be part of the new alliance. The myth of human invincibility had been replaced by something better: the reality of what united species could accomplish together. In the depths of space, other civilizations watched and wondered if they too might find the courage to reach out to their neighbors among the stars. The Watchers had been defeated, but their legacy of division and fear would take time to overcome. Yet with each new friendship formed, each old enemy forgiven, and each hand extended across the void, the galaxy moved closer to a future where no species would have to stand alone. Years later, when historians wrote about the day that changed the galaxy, they would remember it not as the day humans were revealed to be mortal, but as the day two species chose trust over fear and cooperation over isolation. It was the beginning of a new age of peace among the stars. And in the sensor bay of exploration ships throughout the galaxy, young officers of many different species worked side by side, their combined technologies reaching farther into space than any one species could have managed alone. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and now finally, no one had to explore it alone.